Okay, welcome back to class number 2 for advanced students. And we have a lot of work to do. And we'll start by reviewing. We'll start by going over the things we saw yesterday. To go over things we've already seen. But first, I'm going to roll up my sleeves. And I think you should do the same. I think you should roll up your sleeves. It's an expression in English which means to get down to work. Ponerse a trabajar. Manos a la obra. To get down to work, we say, and I think you say in Spanish, arremangar. No, you say to roll up your sleeves, figuratively, which means to get down to work. Ponerse a trabajar. To get down to work. Poner manos a la obra. So, roll up your sleeves, please. Come on. Roll up your sleeves, okay? Isn't this interesting? Isn't this program interesting? Isn't. Negativo. Pregunta negativa. Negativa. Isn't this class interesting? Aren't I a strange person? Isn't English an important language? Isn't this an interesting cup? Isn't this a pen? All right. Aren't these pages interesting? Okay. Isn't camera 1 over there? Yes, it is. Camera 1 is over there. Se dice over there en vez de there cuando hay referencia visual. Si no hay referencia visual, decimos there. Pepita vive en Francia. ¿Por qué vive allí? Why does she live there? Aquí no digo over there porque no veo en la esquina o en el rincón de esta habitación Francia. Ahora bien, Pepita está en ese rincón. ¿Y por qué está allí? Why is she over there? She should be over there, not over there. Pepita, please move over there. Don't stay there. Move over there. Okay, camera 1 is over there. Isn't camera 1 over there? Aren't there 3 cameras in this room? Yes, there are. Isn't there a camera on my left? Yes, there is. No una cámara delante de ti también. Isn't there a camera in front of you too? Yes, that one, where you are. You're sitting behind that camera. But Richard, isn't there another camera in the room? Yes, there is. Isn't there a third camera? Yes, there is. Well, where is it? It's over there. Let's change. I'll show you. I'll move you from that camera over behind the other on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Yes. Isn't there a Senate in the United States? Well, yes, there is. In Washington, there's a Senate, and in every state, there's a Senate. Aren't there 200 senators in the Senate? No, there aren't. Well, how many senators are there? 100? No, only 100 senators? Aren't there more? Aren't there more? No, there aren't more. Weren't you a member of the American government in the 1990s? Me? No, I wasn't. Yes, you were. Weren't you a senator from Oklahoma? Me? I wasn't a senator from Oklahoma. No, yes, you were. Weren't you the younger of the 2 senators from Oklahoma? No, I wasn't. Well, weren't you a senator in the 90s? No, I wasn't. I've never been a senator. But weren't you a member of parliament? Well, in the United States, we don't have a parliament. But weren't you a member of the Congress in the United States? No, I wasn't. But weren't you an English teacher in Spain in the 70s? In part of the 70s, yes, I was. But weren't you a member of the American CIA in the 70s? No, I wasn't. Okay. But isn't the CIA active in Spain? La CIA, activa en España. Que no es activo. Isn't the CIA active in Spain? I don't know. I don't follow the activities of the Central Intelligence Agency, the CIA. Okay, but isn't England the most important country in the United Kingdom? Well, yes, I suppose it is. But isn't Scotland becoming more and more important? I don't know. I don't follow the internal politics of the United Kingdom. I really don't know. But aren't you an expert on politics? Me, no, I'm not an expert necessarily on politics. But aren't you an expert on history? I'm not a historian, but I consider myself an expert on certain moments in history. But aren't you a Hispanist? Hispanista, me? Me? Yes, aren't you a Hispanist? No, I'm not. I'm not a Hispanist. But weren't you a member of the Hispanic Society last year? No, I wasn't. You're confusing me with another person. But weren't you at the meeting? I remember 2 months ago. Weren't you at the meeting of British and American Hispanists that took place in Barcelona 2 months ago? Me? Yeah, weren't you at that meeting? Weren't you? Weren't you at that meeting? Sorry, but I think you're getting me mixed up with another person. You're confusing me with another person. I'm not a Hispanist. I'm not a member of the Hispanist Society, and I wasn't at a meeting 2 months ago for British and American Hispanists. So don't look at me. If you want to find the person, look somewhere else, in otra parte, somewhere else. Don't look at me. I've never been a Hispanist. But weren't you at the meeting? Weren't you? Weren't you? Weren't you at the meeting? No, I wasn't. But wasn't the meeting in Barcelona? Yeah, I don't know. But wasn't it only for English and American Hispanists? Well, I suppose it was for British, which includes Scottish and Welsh and Northern Irish. It was for British and American Hispanists. But wasn't that meeting about 2 months ago? Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Yes. In fact, it was so interesting that I followed the proceedings of the meeting every day. All right? And there are so many Hispanists in the United Kingdom and in the United States that I think that perhaps Spain is the most popular country in those two countries, among those people. I don't know if it's true. There are a lot of Hispanists and very good Hispanists in Great Britain and in the United States as well. Now, whether el que España sea el país más popular, whether Spain is the most popular country for these people, the American people and the British, I really don't know. But it is true that both countries produce excellent Hispanists, people who are expert on Spain, on the history, the culture, the anthropology of Spain, the sociological aspects of Spain, and so yes, it is true. But Richard, yes, aren't you a Hispanist? Lenia can no, I'm not. I'm not Hispanist. And before you continue insisting, I'm going to pass you to another teacher, and then I'll come back, okay? See you in a few minutes.
Hello everyone, thank you Richard. I'm your teacher, Natasha, as you know, and today I'm here with a new student that you don't know yet, okay? And we'll introduce her just now, okay? Her name is Susana. How are you?
Fine, thank you. How are you?
Good, good, very good. Where did you learn your English? Tell everybody.
Well, at school, as everybody, I guess.
But not a Spanish school, right? Or where did you learn?
No, I lived in Costa Rica when I was a child. And I also was a exchange student during a summer in Idaho.
In an exchange student. So that's what you have to do. Remember, if you want to improve, go abroad, okay? Go abroad. A otro país. Go abroad to learn the language, okay? Just like Susana, so you can speak as well as her, okay? All right, we have a lot to do because we have to review everything you did in the previous class, okay? So there are 3 points we have to review and we'll start straight away, okay? Straight away, enseguida. We'll start straight away. Okay, the first thing we're going to review is negative questions with the verb to be in the present, okay? Let's start, okay? All right, the first one, Susana. They aren't members of that club. So why?
Why are they?
Or why aren't?
Why they aren't members of that
Why
club?
aren't they?
Why aren't they members of that club?
Okay, very good. Okay, at home, remember, since this is still a question, even though it's in the negative, we still have to make the question. If it were affirmative, we would say, why are they members? If it's negative, we still have to have that same structure, okay? So, why aren't they members of that club, okay? Remember to pronounce the words. Remember to pronounce the ends of the words, okay? So, why aren't they members of that club, okay? Did you get that right? I'm sure you did. Okay, the next question is for you at home. Are you ready? I'm not ready. Very good. Why aren't you ready? Why aren't you ready? Okay, one more, okay? Susanna, we aren't in our teens.
Why are we in our teens? Why aren't we in our teens?
Very good. What is in our teens?
En nuestra adolescencia.
Yeah, we aren't a teenager, okay? We aren't in our teens. Okay, very good. She said that very well. Why aren't we in our teens? Okay, the next point we're going to practice is negative questions with the verb to be in the past, okay? And let's start because we have a lot to do. Susanna, the next question is for you. I wasn't here on Sunday.
Why I wasn't here on Sunday?
No, me. So I wasn't here on Sunday.
Why were you not here on Sunday?
And if you contract?
Why weren't you?
Yeah.
On Sunday.
Here on Sunday.
Here on Sunday.
One more time.
Why weren't you here on Sunday?
Very good, okay? Remember, you have to pronounce the end of the words, okay? They can't just disappear, okay? So remember to exaggerate it, okay? Why weren't you here on Sunday? Let's get Susanna to say it again, exaggerating that T sound.
Why weren't you here on Sunday?
Perfect pronunciation. The next one is for you, Susanna, as well. My birthday wasn't yesterday.
Why weren't your birthday yesterday?
Why wasn't? Remember.
Why wasn't?
Yeah, don't worry.
Why wasn't your birthday yesterday?
One more time.
Why wasn't your birthday yesterday?
Very good. Why wasn't your birthday yesterday? Okay, remember, your birthday is it. It's the third person, so we have to say wasn't, okay? The next sentence is for you at home, okay? You weren't sitting at your desk. Very good. Why weren't you sitting at your desk? Okay, remember that preposition. We say that you're sitting at your desk, okay? Because you're not sitting on your desk. Otherwise, you would be on top of your desk, okay? So why weren't you sitting at your desk? Okay, the last one, okay, for Susanna. He wasn't on the slide.
Why he wasn't on the slide?
So why
wasn't he on the slide?
Very good, and exaggerate that T sound.
Why wasn't he at the slide?
On the slide. One more time.
Why wasn't him on the slide?
He.
He.
One more time.
Why wasn't he on the slide?
Very good. Okay, why wasn't he on the slide? Okay. The last thing we're going to practice, we're practicing many, many, many different things, okay? We're going to practice so, okay? So I'll say the sentence, and you and Susanna have to rephrase using so, okay? Are you ready? Let's see if Susanna's ready. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay. The apple looked delicious. I couldn't help eating it.
The apple was so delicious that
the apple looked.
The apple looked so delicious that I couldn't help eating it.
Eating it. Couldn't help, always with the gerund, okay? Couldn't help eating it. One more time.
The apple looked so good that I couldn't help eating it.
Okay. Or the apple looked so delicious that I couldn't help eating it, okay? One more. Sylvia is really pretty. She could be a model.
Sylvia is so pretty that she could be a model.
Very good. Sylvia is so pretty, so plus the adjective. Sylvia is so pretty that she could be a model. The next one is for you at home, okay? The music was loud. We couldn't talk. Very good. The music was so loud that we couldn't talk, okay? Remember, so plus the adjective, okay? The next one is for Susanna. Her accent was very strong. No one could understand her.
Her accent was so strong that no one could understand her.
Okay, or repeat saying so strong, not as strong. One more time.
Her accent was so strong that she couldn't...
That no one could understand her.
No one could understand.
Okay, very good job today. Okay, congratulations. And you did an excellent job as well. I'll see you next time. Bye.
Okay, we're back. The Atlantic Ocean is so wide that I can't swim across it. It's such a wide body of water that I can't swim across it. Can you? Can you cross the Atlantic Ocean a nado? Así lo diríais vosotros, cruzarlo a nado. Nosotros diríamos nadar a través de ello. Okay? To swim across. I'm not strong enough to cross the Atlantic Ocean. So swimming or rowing a boat, to row. So it's so big that I can't cross it. It's such a big ocean that I can't cross it. And we'll continue with this comparison of so and such on camera number 1. So and such. Vamos a usar aquí tan. La película fue tan mala que me fui a los 20 minutos. The movie was so bad that I left after 20 minutes. Only 20 minutes. It was so bad that I left after only 20 minutes. It was such a bad movie that I left after 20 minutes. Oh, golf. Golf, to play golf. Golf, el deporte golf. Golf is so frustrating that I often break clubs when I'm playing, los palos. Golf is such a frustrating sport that I end up breaking clubs, and it becomes very expensive. All right, fijaos en el, notice the equivalence and the difference between so and such. Golf is so frustrating. El golf es tan frustrante. Y ahí paro, ya no digo más, solo el adjetivo, y después digo that. Golf is so frustrating that I often break clubs out of irritation and frustration when I play it. Golf is such a frustrating sport. Aquí he añadido sport, la palabra sport, que es sustantivo. Y los sustantivos no pueden ir precedidos por la palabra so, pero la palabra such, sí. Golf is such a frustrating sport that I often end up breaking clubs and kicking myself, okay? It's so frustrating, my God, it's so frustrating. It's such a frustrating sport. It's so frustrating. It's such a frustrating sport. English, the English language, oh my God. English is so difficult that most people never learn it. English is so difficult that most people never learn it. So, he dicho so aquí, seguido de difficult, que es un adjetivo. English is such a difficult language. Aquí añadido language. Un sustantivo, entonces such domina ahora. English is such a difficult language que la mayoría de la gente, that most people never manage to learn it well. English is such a difficult language that most people never manage to learn it well. Antarctica is a continent. In the English-speaking world, Antarctica is one of 7 continents. So, but Antarctica is so cold that people can't live there, really. Antarctica is so cold that people can't live there. It's such a cold landmass. Landmass, M-A-S-S, masa de tierra. It's such a cold landmass. It's such a cold continent that nobody can live there. Conejera is an island in the Mediterranean. It's part of the Balearic Islands, Mallorca, Menorca, Ibiza, Formentera, Cabrera, Conejera. It's very small. Yeah, Conejera is so small that nobody lives on the island. Okay, it's so small that nobody lives on the island. It's such a small island, or Conejera is such a small island that nobody lives on it. Nobody's interested in living on Conejera. It's too small, okay? And Quechua is a difficult language. It's so difficult that very few people learn to speak it, except certain native Indians in South America. It's such a difficult language to learn that most people simply don't take the time to try to learn it. Lake Baikal, it's a lake in Russia. Near Mongolia, it's in the Siberian part of Russia, in the south of Siberia, where you have white tigers, tigres blancos, in that area. Lake Baikal is the deepest lake in the world. Not the biggest, but it's the deepest. And it contains the most water. It's so deep, Lake Baikal is so deep that it contains more water than many lakes that are bigger in area. It's such a deep lake. It's such a deep lake that it contains more water than Lake Superior, for example, in the United States and Canada. Okay? Alberto's a good teacher. He's so good that students love to study with him. He's so good that students love to study with him. Que a los estudiantes les encanta. He's so good. Good es un adjetivo, por supuesto. Y adjetivo que no pongo otros sustantivos después. Alberto is so good that students love him. Alberto is such a good teacher. Another teacher. He's such a good teacher that students love him. He's such a good teacher that people follow him. He's such a good teacher that he gets good results. He's so good that students love him. All right? Madrid is so noisy that I can't sleep at night. Madrid, as a city, is so noisy, so noisy, ruidoso, that I can't sleep at night. Madrid is such a noisy city. It's such a noisy city that I can't sleep at night. New York is such a big city that I feel overwhelmed. Abrumado. New York is so big that I feel overwhelmed. It's such a big city. It's such a big city that I feel overwhelmed. Mount Everest is so high that I prefer not to climb it, not even to try. Yes, Mount Everest is so high that I prefer not to try. I prefer not to try to climb it. Mount Everest, se enlaza. Mount Everest is such a high mountain. It's such a high mountain that I prefer to desist. I prefer not to climb it. Okay? And this segment of my program is so short that I don't have time to cover all the examples. This is such a short segment before the station break. It's such a short segment that I don't have to cover everything. But now I have to stop. Our sponsors have something to say. But I'll be back. All right, 1 minute. We have 1 minute before I pass the class to another teacher. And 1 minute isn't enough to do anything. In fact, 1 minute is so short that I can't teach anything. It's such a short period of time. 1 minute is such a short period of time that virtually I can't do anything. I can't do anything productive or constructive for your English because it's so short. It's such a short period of time. It's so short. It's such a short segment of time, or period of time, or span of time, that really I don't have time to do anything for you. So I might as well sit here and just say hello, look at you. We can look at each other. Yes, it's such a short period of time. It's so short. But I'm going to come back after our next teacher. And we're going to continue with so and such until para ti es un sexto sentido. Y lo sueltas con corrección y con acierto todas las veces. See you in a few minutes.
Gracias, Richard. My name's David Waddell, and it's my job to put into practice everything we've just been looking at, okay? And I'm here today with a very special guest, Beatriz. How are you today, Beatriz?
Fine, thanks.
Are you well?
Yes.
Are you a bit nervous?
A little.
A little bit nervous. I'm sure very soon you will lose your nerves and you'll be very relaxed, yeah? It usually happens. Now, today we're going to look at a very similar structure as the one we looked at in the last class, okay? In the last class, we looked at the structure tan que. The book was so big that, for example, yeah? The book was so big that it didn't fit in my bag. It was huge. It was so big. But today, we're going to look at a very similar structure. It was such a big book that it didn't fit in my bag. It was such a big book that it didn't fit in my bag, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you two sentences, and I want you to change them so they include that particular structure. It was such a, or it's such a, yeah? Now, the thing to be careful of is that if it's an uncountable noun, or if it's a plural noun, we don't say such a, just such. Okay, but we'll have a look at that as we go along. Okay, so the first one is the T-bone steak. T-bone steak. What's a T-bone steak? Any idea? T-bone steak.
T-bone.
T-bone steak. It's very big normally. Steak?
Steak is meat.
Yeah, but a T-bone steak? Chuletón.
Okay.
Chuletón. Qué rico, no? Okay, so the T-bone steak was big. I couldn't eat it all. So you will say, it was such a big T-bone steak that I couldn't eat it all. So repeat that sentence.
It was such a big T-bone
Steak.
steak that I couldn't eat it all.
Okay, repeat one more time.
It was such a big T-bone steak
Yeah.
that I couldn't eat it all.
Okay, that I couldn't. That I couldn't.
That I couldn't eat it all.
Perfect. Muy bien, en casa. It was such a big T-bone steak that I couldn't eat it all. Okay, the second one. The weather was very bad. We stayed at home. Venga.
It was such.
Okay, now
No.
it's uncountable. Weather is uncountable, so we don't say such a, we say such. Such bad weather. Yeah? So,
It was such bad weather that we stayed at home.
very good. Repeat.
It was such bad weather that we stayed at home.
That we stayed at home.
That we stayed at home.
Otra vez.
It was such bad weather that we stayed at home.
Okay, very good. It was such bad weather that we stayed at home. It was such bad weather that we stayed at home. Ahora dilo en un tiro.
It was such bad weather that we stayed at home.
Very good. Excellent. Okay, the third one. The report is very long. Nobody is going to read it.
It is such a long report that nobody is going to read it.
Okay, now with the contraction. It's such a long report, nobody's going to read it. Or that nobody's going to read it. Repeat.
It's such a long report.
Such a long,
Okay.
because this time it's an uncountable, it's countable and it's singular, yeah? So, such a. ¿Puedes decir such a?
Such a.
Muy bien, okay, so now the report is very long, nobody's going to read it.
It was such a long report.
Well, the report is very long, so presente.
It is such a long report.
With the contraction.
Sorry.
No
It's
pasa nada.
such a long report that nobody is going to read it.
Okay, ahora di that. Okay, con la lengua. Es muy importante sacar la lengua con TH, yeah? So one more time. The report is very long, nobody is going to read it.
It is such a long.
It's- Pasa nada.
It's such a long report that nobody is going to read it.
Perfecto. Muy bien. Okay, en casa. It's such a long report that nobody's going to read it. Repeat. A ver. ¿Escuchas? Yeah? Can you hear them? Yeah. Very, very good. Okay, the fourth one. The shoes. Okay, so it's plural noun, so we have to use such, not such a. The shoes were very expensive. I couldn't afford them. Afford them is permitir el lujo de comprarles. Yeah? Venga.
It
Again?
was.
The shoes, yeah?
They
yeah.
were.
So they were. Exactly.
They were such expensive shoes that I couldn't afford them.
Good, very good. Okay, so they were such expensive shoes that I couldn't afford them. They were such expensive shoes that I couldn't afford them. Shoes, plural, so we say such, not such a. Such expensive shoes. Okay, the next one. The film was very good. I didn't want it to end.
It was such a good film that I didn't want it to end.
Very good. One more time.
It was such a good film that I didn't want it to end.
Muy bien. Okay, good, not good. Good. It was such a good film. Otra vez.
It was such a good film that I didn't want it to end.
Very good. Okay, en casa. It was such a good film that I didn't want it to end. Repeat. Muy bien. Okay, the next one. The journey, el viaje, yeah? The journey was very long. We had to stop 3 times. The journey was very long. We had to stop 3 times.
It was such a long journey that we had to stop 3 times.
That. Otra vez, one more time. It was perfect apart from that.
It was such a long journey that we had to stop 3 times.
Very good. And repeat it just once more for luck, yeah?
It was such a long journey that we had to stop 3 times.
Muy bien, estás haciéndolo muy bien. Okay, the next one. The food was very spicy. Very spicy, picante, yeah? We had to ask for a glass of water. Venga.
It was such a spicy food.
Well, food in this case
It's
is
not
uncountable,
countable.
yeah?
I was thinking about that.
Exactly. So,
It was such
spicy,
Sorry.
spicy.
That's it.
Picante, yeah?
It was such sorry.
Don't worry, otra vez.
It was such a spicy food.
Such spicy.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah. It
Go on.
was such spicy food that we couldn't finish it.
Or that we had to ask for a glass of water. But
that's
okay,
it.
so it was such spicy food that we had to ask for a glass of water. It was such spicy food that we had to ask for a glass of water. Lo has hecho muy bien. Muy bien, okay? Pero en casa, you have to practice this, yeah? This structure is not that easy, so please do practice. And now I'm going to hand you back to Richard. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Okay, welcome back. Yes, I remember one teacher I had, a geography teacher, my God. He was such a boring teacher. It was unbelievable, incredible, unbelievable. He was such a boring teacher. I fell asleep often in class, but not only me, several other students. He was so boring. He was so boring. He was so boring that several students fell asleep every day, especially the students sitting at the back of the class. And I was sitting on the front row. And even so, aún así, even so, I had trouble staying awake. I had to hold my eyes open. My God, he was such a boring teacher. But I'll tell you more on camera number 1. Yes, ese profesor fue tan aburrido que me dormía todos los días. That teacher was so boring that I fell. F-E-L-L. Sin una T, por favor. He was so boring. Yeah. Mr. Trigger. Interesting name, el señor Gatillo. Mr. Trigger. Yes. You know, for me, if your name is Trigger, you're not boring. But Mr. Trigger was so boring that I fell asleep. Every day, no, but 2 or 3 days a week, I had to make a strong effort to stay awake. He was so boring. He was such a boring teacher. Mr. Trigger was such a boring teacher, such a boring teacher. He was so boring that I almost fell asleep every day, and I was sitting on the front row. You can imagine the kids sitting on the back row. Come on, they were taking naps every day. And that was geography class. But for me, geography is very interesting. In fact, it's so interesting that even boring teachers can't keep me from enjoying geography. I like geography so much that even boring teachers can't keep me from enjoying the subject. And that Mr. Gatillo, Mr. Trigger, was so boring that I couldn't stay awake. But geography for me is so interesting that even boring teachers can't destroy the subject for me. They can't kill the subject. Geography is such an interesting subject for me that even the worst teachers can't ruin it for me, estropeármelo. They can't ruin it for me, okay? The Vaughan method, el método Vaughan, is so good that even bad students can progress. Bad students are usually not bad with the Vaughan method and with a Vaughan teacher because they are more motivated, okay? The Vaughan method is such a good method. It's such a good method that most people learn, okay? Now, a Rolls Royce is so expensive for me. It's so expensive that I can't buy it. It's too expensive. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough money to buy a Rolls Royce. It's so expensive that I can't afford it. It's so expensive, expensive. Fijaos en la X y la fortaleza de la X en inglés. En español es una letra débil. Expensive, Extremadura. Taxi, muy débil. Pero es taxi, Extremadura, expensive. The taxis in Extremadura are expensive. All right? I'm exaggerating a bit, but not too much. Experience, expensive. A Rolls Royce is so expensive that I can't buy it. A Rolls Royce is such an expensive car. It's such an expensive car that I can't buy it. Do you remember the Titanic? The indestructible Titanic. Yes, it was so big and so strong. It was so big and so strong and so new that many people thought it was unsinkable. Okay. Se dice es inundible. No se hundía. People thought it was unsinkable. It was so big, so strong, and so modern and new, so big that people thought it was indestructible or unsinkable. It was such a big ship, such a strong ship, and such a new and modern ship that most people thought it was unsinkable. And on its maiden voyage, its first voyage, it sank. Okay. So it wasn't such an indestructible ship. It wasn't such an unsinkable ship. Okay, it wasn't such an unsinkable ship. It wasn't so indestructible. It wasn't so unsinkable. All right? It sank. Now, Spain is so sunny that many people come here to spend their summer vacation. It's a very sunny country, país soleado. The sun is the first natural resource of Spain, the sun, your first raw material. In fact, Spain is so sunny that people come here from Central and Northern Europe to enjoy their holidays. It's such a sunny country. Yeah, it's such a sunny country that people come here. Yes. Oof, fabada? For dinner tonight? Are you inviting me to an Asturian restaurant tonight? What time? 10 o'clock. It's a bit late. And I have to work tomorrow. I have to get up early tomorrow. Yeah. I have a radio show at 7:30 in the morning. But you're inviting me to have dinner with you tonight, 10 o'clock. Where? In an Asturian restaurant. Why? Why in an Asturian restaurant? Because you want to order special fabada. You want me to try the fabada. Well, listen, fabada, 10 o'clock at night, and I have to get up early the next morning. Look, fabada is so heavy. It's so rich. Rich quiere decir fuerte en inglés, cuando se trata de comidas. Esta comida es muy fuerte. It's very rich. Fabada is so rich and so heavy that I can't eat it at night, especially during the week. It's such a heavy dish. Un plato tan pesado y tan fuerte. It's such a rich and heavy dish. It's such a heavy dish that I can't eat it during the week, I prefer not to eat it at night, especially on a working night. And tomorrow's a working day. Y tengo que madrugar. And I have to get up early. Okay? So, fabada is too heavy. It's too much for me. It's so heavy that I can't eat it. It's such a heavy dish that I can't eat it. All right. So and such. I hope it's clearer for you now, okay? I'll be back in a few minutes to close the program after our next teacher.
Thank you, Richard. Hi, everyone. I'm Hannah, and I'm here again with all of you to repeat and practice what you've just learned from Richard. But first, let's say hello to my student for today. And as you know, we're in our advanced stages now. So we have our advanced student with me. His name is David. Hi, David.
Hello, how are you?
Fine, how are you today?
I'm fine, thank you.
Okay, great. Well, we're going to start with some vocabulary, right?
Okay.
Okay, great. And you know what you have to do at home. You have to repeat the words and of course, out loud, en voz alta. So you already know what to do. So here we go. Let's start with the first word, okay? Papeleo burocrático.
Red tape.
Perfect. Excellent. Okay, good. Repeat again.
Red tape.
Perfect. Excellent. So we have two words here. Two words, dos palabras. Red tape. Red tape. And also keep in mind that this term, this vocabulary term is uncountable, incontable. Okay, so we never say a red tape. We just say some red tape. Okay, so red tape, dos palabras. Good. Next word we have clarificar.
To clarify.
Good. Repeat.
To clarify.
Okay, good. Clarify. Clarify. Again.
To clarify.
Okay, good. To clarify. So let's hear you at home. To clarify. To clarify. Okay, great. Next we have, ooh, my favorite, tortilla.
Omelette.
Perfect. Good. Okay. Everyone knows this word. Everybody. It's almost the first word that you learn immediately, you know, from Spanish to English. Omelette. Tortilla, right? Tortilla. Omelette. Okay, next we have, oh, this is an interesting verb. All right, here we go. It's andar con dilaciones or aplazar.
To procrastinate.
Excellent. Repeat again.
To procrastinate.
Great. Good. So let's repeat. To procrastinate. To procrastinate. Procrastinate. 4 syllables. To procrastinate. Okay, good. And finally, we have mutuamente.
Mutually.
Good. Excellent. Again.
Mutually.
Perfect. Perfect pronunciation there. Mutually. Mu. So listen here to the first syllable. Mu. Mu. And then T-U. That la T-U metido. It sounds like a ch. Ch. Mutually. 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 Again.
Mutually.
Perfect. Okay, great. Okay, excellent. So let's continue with our class. We're going to look at so big that or so terrible that, and then also such a, right? Such a. So here we go. I want you to change the sentence according to so boring that or such a boring film. Here we go. The movie was so boring that I fell asleep.
It was such a boring movie that I fell asleep.
Perfect. Excellent. It was such a boring movie that I fell asleep. Okay, good. It was such bad weather that we stayed at home.
The weather was so bad that we stayed at home.
Perfect. Excellent. The weather was so bad that we stayed at home. Great. Next. The shoes were so expensive that I couldn't afford them.
They were such expensive shoes.
Okay, repeat. They were such expensive shoes. Again.
They were such expensive shoes.
Perfect.
That I couldn't afford them.
Excellent. Great. So here we're not using such a. Such a, ojo, is only for singular and contable. So such a bad movie. But here we have plural. Okay, so we take out a. We don't use such a or such an. Simplemente we say, they were such expensive shoes that I couldn't afford them. So be careful there. Such a, such an is only for singular contable. And here we have plural. Okay, next. The course was so difficult that I didn't pass it.
It was such a difficult course that I didn't pass it.
Okay, very good. Great. It was such a. Ahora sí, such a, because it's singular contable. It was such a difficult course that I didn't pass it. And here, notice the pronunciation for it, difficult. Difficult. Nunca decimos difficult. Oh, no, nunca. So we want difficult. Y también curso, the pronunciation is course. Course. Nunca course or course or así. Course. Course. Okay, next example. The plate is so hot that I can't hold it.
It's such a hot plate that I can't hold it.
Okay, good. Repeat again.
It's such a hot plate that I can't hold it.
Okay, great. Very good. It's such a hot plate that I can't hold it. Okay, great. Next example. It was such a good offer that I couldn't refuse.
The offer was so good
Good.
that I couldn't refuse.
Good. That I couldn't refuse.
Refuse.
Okay, good. Again, the whole sentence.
The offer was so good that I couldn't refuse.
Excellent. Muy bien, muy bien. So, the offer was so good that I couldn't refuse. Now, that reminds me of the very famous line from The Godfather. Right?
Yeah, it's true. It's
yes,
true.
right? I'll make him an offer. He
Yeah,
won't
yeah,
refuse, right? That he can't refuse. Everyone knows that very famous line. Okay, so it was such a good offer that I couldn't refuse. Okay, great. Okay, now, another example here. They are such well-behaved children that they do what they're told.
Could you repeat, please?
Yes, of course. That's a very long sentence. So I'll repeat the sentence again, and for you at home too. Okay, they are such well-behaved children that they do what they're told.
The children are so well behaved. Behaved.
Yes.
The children are so good behaved.
So
well behaved.
Okay, muy bien.
That they do what they are told.
Excellent. Perfect. Okay, so let's repeat this example. So I'll give you the original and then what we changed to. They are such well-behaved children that they do what they're told. So now I want the children are so well-behaved that they do what they're told. So well-behaved means se comportan muy bien, right? Well-behaved children. Okay, let's do one more example. The man was so old that he couldn't walk.
He was such an old man that he couldn't walk.
Okay, good. Repeat that.
He was such a good man.
Such an old man.
He was such an old man that he couldn't walk.
Okay, great. Good. So that. Don't forget the pronunciation of that. Con th, the. Good. He was such an old man that he couldn't walk. Or he was so old that he couldn't walk. Okay, great job, David. Thank you for being here. And great job at home. So practice this at home, and you'll do better every time. And see you next time. I'll pass you with Richard.
English. English, English, English. English is such an important language that you need to take the time and to invest effort and often money. It's so important. Learning English is so important. Learning English is such an important element in your education that you or your children need to make the effort, the necessary effort, because it opens doors. It's so important that it can open doors that otherwise will be closed for you. It's such an important skill, una habilidad demandada en el mercado. It's such an important skill. It's so much in demand. It's so important. It's such an important skill. It's so important. It's such an important skill. Fijaos cuando so y cuando such. That I think you need to make the effort to take the time and even to invest the necessary money to solve this deficiency. Okay? Okay, McKay. See you tomorrow.